Hey there, welcome to the Good Stuff Podcast. On this episode, I sat down with Paul Cunningham to chat all things community. He's got some horses, and he's in the film world, so he helped me set the studio up a little bit better, so good to know him. Just in case you're new here, my name is Derek Schwyn, host of the Good Stuff Podcast. In 2017, started Good Stuff Marysville as a way to talk about the good stuff going on here in our community. As a real estate agent for a while, that's my goal, is to sell people on why this is a good place to call home. Turned those skills and this effort into a marketing business where I help businesses tell their story and talk about their good stuff too. So if I can help you out with any of that, love to help you. Until then, here's the episode.
What's happening?
Lots.
Yeah,
Too much.
I hear you.
Well, thanks for helping me improve my setup here. This guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to all this fancy stuff, way better than I do. So
Sometimes.
Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Paul Cunningham. I am the owner of Cool World. For about 21 years now, and here in Marysville, Ohio, even though I travel coast to coast constantly, started off primarily doing photography and working with a lot of bands, and then I was like, I need to make money with this. So then I got into families and weddings, the stuff I didn't really want to do, but again, I was trying to build.
It pays
a
the bill.
brand.
Yep.
Yeah, and then eventually, video came in like maybe 15 years ago, and I saw a need because, Facebook was just coming out around that time. And I'm like, I could see a need for video for this social platform. And boy, was I right with that. So thankfully I made that jump, even though I still do commercial photography, but it's mostly commercial video. I used to do a lot of music videos. I don't do that nearly as much. And then I do just have a studio here in Uptown, kind of on the corner of 4th and Main there. And I've been there just for a minute. Not that I really needed a space, but it's kind of nice to have one. Well, I do work with the city a lot. I've been working with the city.
So you've done the city, you stayed at the city for the last handful of years, if I remember right.
Yeah, I've done the State of the City videos for maybe the last 7 or 8 years. Something like that. We did the bicentennial video.
That was
years
pretty cool.
ago. That was really fun. Done some stuff for the county too, and I've done some stuff for local businesses, here as well. But primarily, I'm literally traveling constantly.
I said, hey, you still want to come on? He said, yeah, I'll be here for a little while, and then I got 3 weeks gone, so figured we got to
I literally
get
just
started.
got home 2 days ago, and then I leave again in basically a week from.
I don't think
from now, roughly, and I'll be literally on the road 3 straight weeks. I'm going to drive here down to Dallas, Fort Worth for a few projects, driving from there to Southern California, Chula Vista, San Diego, LA. I got projects, and I thought I was going to be done. And so on my way back, I'm like, I got to go through Vegas. I'm stopping in Vegas. I'm having my mom fly out, taking her to see the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. Got VIP, got the best seats, best package you could possibly get, because why not? And then I ended up picking up more gigs before I went home. So now I got to drive down to Phoenix for some projects from Vegas, and then I'll drive home. So
it'll be a long time.
There you go. And the reason why I'm driving on this trip is mostly because some of the gear that I have to bring, and honestly, I'm getting really tired of the cancellations and delays from the airports that have been this year that I've had to deal with. I was part of a big one in Atlanta this summer where they had some bad weather, and Delta canceled like 250 flights, and I got canceled twice. And I was like, I just need to get home, and I had to fly another airline to get home. So I don't always drive, but this one I was just like, and driving
sometimes
is like
it's safer.
And driving is like a forced mental vacation for me. As an artist, I kind of don't like using the word creator anymore because I feel it's being overused because everyone's a content creator.
Everybody,
blah, blah, blah. I'm an artist in every sense of the word. Besides photography and video, I've been an artist since I was a kid. I went to CCAD. So every once in a while I still love to paint, or draw, whatever. I've been a musician for more than half my life. I've toured the country as a musician. I still write and record. And, I'm either recording in LA, New York, or Detroit currently. And then sometimes when I'm home, I like to just like build things because I'm kind of like an engineer head. So so I'm creative in every aspect. So when I'm on the road, it gives me that time and that freedom to think about all those things that I want to do or need to do when I get home.
Trying to prioritize the list in your head?
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, not easy to do. So what was I'm curious, like, so you've always been doing it. Like, what was, for me, like playing with cameras back in the day, snowboarding, like that was my excuse. It sounds like music was kind of the media or the subject matter for you starting out.
Well, probably even at a younger age, I loved playing with my mom's. Both my mom and my dad had 35 millimeter Olympus film cameras. So I think I always took my mom's, and I loved photographing like clouds and trees, nature in general. I just loved doing it. I don't even know why, but I did. And then, one day, literally, like I said, 21 years ago, roughly, being in a band, had a lot of friends that were musicians, and I thought maybe it would be cool to pick up a halfway decent camera and just do photos of them. I didn't know what expectations I was going to have. I first started out really just doing stuff for myself, taking pictures of the abandoned buildings, houses, rusty bolts, stuff like that, right? Just still life. And it was good to practice on. And then that's when I started photographing bands. I was doing some live concert stuff. Wasn't a huge fan of that because I was learning some stuff, but I couldn't be as creative with it. So then I started doing actual promo photography for the bands. And then I just started seeing families and people that were getting married liked my style. And they wanted that for like family and wedding stuff, But what I was doing back then, I'll be very honest, there wasn't very many people doing what I was doing creatively with the camera and with lighting. So that was kind of cool. I had set my mark with how I was as an artist like that. And for people wanting that for their wedding photos and stuff, I'm like, okay. Because it was a little more darker, a little more cinematic, edgier. Now it's like the norm, But back then it was a little
not very
different.
often, yeah.
Yeah, and the weddings were fine. I love shooting the bride and groom because that's really what I wanted to do. It was just everything else I didn't care for. Because it's like an event, and I can't be creative with that.
Yeah, well, and dealing with all the relatives and that headache of organizing that. And
I mean, and thankfully, out of, I don't know, 100 plus weddings I've probably photographed, I never really had like a bridezilla. So that was good.
Yeah, good blessing there, because that can be something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it can be for sure.
So what's like, do you get much of a peek behind the scenes with the state of the city when you do those? Like, learning anything?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes I might get to hear about a project that's being worked on that's not known publicly yet. I don't really hear the juicy stuff, to be honest, as much as I would like to.
Well, do you at least like it to go behind the scenes or see anything cool?
Yeah, no, not really. No, I mean,
I saw you you rode with fire truck and some of that kind of stuff. It looked like at one point.
Sure.
Yeah. Does it strike your fancy?
No, I mean, I look,
I'm not offended.
I am a kid at heart with a lot of things, but there's some things that I'm just like, okay, yeah, that was cool. And then there's things that I'm like, that was awesome. Riding in a fire truck, it was cool. I mean, sure. I mean, but it wasn't awesome.
Yeah.
But I think probably because, I'm doing this. I'm right.
Well,
so I can't really experience what I'm going through sometimes.
That's fair.
Which is a good reason of why, like when I go on vacation, I don't take my good camera with me. I want to enjoy the experience with my wife. When we're going hot air ballooning or we're going off-roading, we were just in Evergreen, Colorado, like 3-4 weeks ago on vacation. The house we stayed at was at 9,100 elevation.
Ooh. Air's getting thin.
Oh yeah. Trying to hike in that. So many beautiful spots there, but I'm just like, I want to soak it in with my own eyes. So there's a time when I'm pretty good about putting down my camera, when I need to, because
Did you ever watch that Secret Life of Walter Mitty?
Oh yeah.
That movie where Sean Penn's like,
yeah,
I just want to save it for me. I'm not going to take the picture.
Yeah.
I always thought that lesson was pretty
and I mean,
good for that.
And to be fair, these things can do a decent enough job to capture the moment, but
in a good quality.
My wife's always like, hey, look at the moon tonight. Like, we should get your camera. I'm like, no.
I'm good. I've done that.
Like, I can just go take one of my friends' photos if that's the case, because I got plenty of friends that are out there taking photos of the moon. I don't need to do that. I'll go out there and look at it for sure, but don't need to take a photo of it.
Nope. I'm with you. So the other side of your life that I don't really know anything about, I just see pictures online, horses.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
Yeah. So, wow, where to start? So I would kind of say this in a funny way. So my great grandfather, my grandfather, and my dad were all horsemen. I was the one that wanted to go to art school, so I kind of broke that a little bit. So my grandfather passed away when I was 3 months old. Never got a chance to know him, but the property that my parents live on. My grandparents were on the other side of the property. So my dad had bought some of the property from my grandmother, etc. And so we have actually a 5/8 mile racetrack on the property. So this is what I grew up with, So my dad raced standard bred horses. So I got to make sure I set that straight too. Not thoroughbred. He wasn't a jockey. They were a driver. So, because they always get called that. So jockeys when they ride on the horse, a driver's when they're, because you're driving a sulky, essentially. So, and it was funny because I kind of felt bad as I started doing photography and video. Like my dad got out of the horse business, he was out of it for like 20 years.
Oh, really?
And when I was in high school, I wasn't taking photos then, and not till my mid 20s. I didn't really have that much of an interest with the horses. I had bad allergies, so anytime I'm cleaning the stall as a kid, I'm just like, it about killed me. But thankfully, about at this point, it could have been about 6-7 years ago. My dad got back into the horse business, and by owning, and then he started driving again, at least at the county fairs, not the parimutuel tracks. He used to. I mean, my dad, he lived in New Jersey for 6 months when I was a freshman in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he lived out there because the purse money was just insane.
That was where you wanted to be?
Yeah, and that was in like 90, 92, somewhere right around, somewhere in 1992. So anyway, so he was out of the business for like 21 years, got back into it. And then in 2023, we had a horse. I was starting to help him out a little bit, which was nice because I never really got a chance to do that. I actually got some photos of like one of the county fairs, and that was one of the last times I probably took photos or any video because I ended up starting to actually help him at the races with the horse. And so we had this one horse, I owned 15% of that horse, and then that horse got claimed down the side of Downs, which we were disappointed because, it was right before the race, and that's when they can get, if they're in a claiming race, they can get claimed, which means someone comes in and buys them. So I won't get into the whole story, how it works. So basically, I wasn't there at the race because I was traveling, but I'm watching online and I hear that, Bob, we just call him Bob, he got claimed. I'm like, so once Bob was gone, we picked up a horse called BC Sweetheart. And, she was doing pretty well. My dad had to do a lot to kind of get her where she needed to be. She was already racing, but, and she was a little bit smaller of a horse. She was a 2-year-old at the time. My dad was really good at developing horses. He was really known for that. So, he was training her, he was driving her at the county fairs. And then when we'd go to the parimutuel tracks, which would be like Cider Downs or Dayton Raceway, Northfield, somebody else, would drive her. And long story short, she'd always done kind of, fairly well. And, I'm going to move forward just a little bit. So my dad passed in January of 24.
Oh.
And I was never public with it or anything. Like I never put it out on social media because first I'm just like, I don't need to put that out there. That's just it's not what it's for. So a lot of people don't know that he's gone. At least some of my friends, unless it just gets brought up in conversation. But the reason why I bring that up, and then as I go backward a little bit, is that we were racing BC at the Delaware County Fair, which is, I'm sure you probably know, that's like creme de la creme of the harness horse racing, right? So that's kind of like our Super Bowl in some sense. And my dad's raced, during Jug Week. He started racing early 70s, roughly, and so we, but the funny thing is, he's never won at Delaware.
Oh, really?
He's never won at Delaware. Yeah, because that's one thing I always get asked when I was a kid. Like, your dad ever win any races? Like, yeah, he's won lots of races. But that's because they don't know the industry. It's not like they're racing against 100 horses. It's on average it could be 9, but if you're on a county fair, sometimes it could be 4 horses total. Sometimes it's 2. So we're at the Delaware County Fair, It's 2 days before the actual jug day. I think it was Tuesday, and we pull the 8 hole. Okay. And at the Delaware County Fair, when the horses are lined up behind the gate, they go from 1 through, whatever number.
Yeah.
And that gate holds 8. And there's 9 horses in the race, which means the 9 horse goes behind kind of like the 1 and the 2. So they get stacked behind them. You kind of really want the 9 more than you do the 8 because we pulled the 8, which means we're all the way on the outside.
Outside, yeah.
Which means we have the farthest way to go. So they start to race. And by the way, Roger Houston's calling this, and he called my dad's first race.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Roger Houston he's probably the most known voice announcer for harness horse races. Yeah. So he even goes over to Ireland and calls some of those, and he goes. But I think Ohio's his home. So
yep.
So anyway, my dad's sitting, and I can always share the link with you because I had
cool
this
watch.
recorded. My dad's sitting last literally the entire time, but BC always had a little bit of a kick, towards the end.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm hoping for, sitting dead last the entire time. Now I'm on the backstretch because I'm helping him out, so I'm not really watching from a TV. And, so he comes around the backstretch on the before coming around, getting to the last turn. So right kind of in front of me. And, I can see he's starting to finally move out and then going across. When you watch it on the TV, it's crazy. He literally comes just right around everybody. Every single horse ends up going 5 wide down the stretch. And the way Roger Houston called it was just gives me chills every time I watch it. But basically, he ended up winning that race by might have been 3 lengths or something like that. Just come from dead last all the way around everybody. And the reason why that race was so special was because not only was it his first win in Delaware, and I don't know, thousands of races he's probably had in general, was that, we didn't know he was going to pass on literally 4 months later, roughly. And because, and I knew my dad was always in a lot of pain. Look, he was, 70. Yeah. When he raced that race, and he's blue collar, stubborn guy. He don't want to go to the hospital, whatever.
Hospital, who needs those?
To a certain extent, But what was crazy now is just looking back at I can't believe how much pain he was probably in when he raced that.
Doing that,
It
yeah.
was his last win. It was the last race that he raced her, right? Because all the other races, we normally didn't do county fairs that much that year, except for the beginning of the year. So that was the last race he had behind the bike in general. So there was all this kind of, I don't know, something special to that race that we didn't know until
very much sounds like
till now, and so I'm very thankful that not only did he have that moment, that we had that moment, and what was crazy was he was in the hospital on Christmas, well, he was in the hospital for 50-something straight days. I think that's what it was. So my mom and my wife and I went down to OSU. This was before he got moved to the James, because I had a painting made of his winning photo.
Oh,
from the
that's super cool.
Yeah, I took it to a friend of mine who's another CCAD guy. He's a great illustrator. And I'm like, hey, I want to take this winning photo. I want you to just take it of him on the horse as he's going by the finish line. And I want you to do this massive, kind of painting,
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I spent a lot of money to get it framed and put nice museum glass in it, whatever, and took it to him, in the hospital. So I'm glad he at least got to see that. But I had all these postcards made of it too, to hand out,
give to family or whatever.
Yeah, and thankfully we had him because during the funeral we kept kept him out for people to take, and we got Roger Houston. I got Roger Houston to record a poem, and it kills me that I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. It had to do with a horse and whatnot. And I put that over top of the video. It slowed the video down when he crossed the line. The poem ended. And we showed that at the funeral. And yeah, of course, that about killed me. I mean, I was the one editing it, putting it together, but
Still,
it was just kind of one of those things.
the
So
impact's still there.
yeah, so currently, I still own BC. So I had 30% of her with my dad. Now I have 100%. Currently, she is, though, here at the Marysville Fairgrounds.
Uh-huh.
She's just been kind of off for several months because needs to have surgery on her 2 front feet with some chip bones.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's taken so long is because she's got a slight fracture in her leg they want to heal, because when they put her under anesthesia, they don't want her to wake up because she'll kick around and re-injure that. So once that leg gets healed, which I think it is now, they'll take her in for surgery, and then hopefully we can get her racing again by the beginning of the year. And she might look like a different horse too. I mean,
Jeez.
She was always a great horse. Never really had any issues with her, so we're hoping this all, at this time too, my dad would have probably got rid of her already. He would have been like, all right, we're done. Let's move on.
Well, I mean, at this point, yes,
it's sentimental at this point. So it's just kind of like, I want to see her do good, good for at least a little while.
at least something. Yeah. Well,
So-
I'm always amazed at how in depth and how much there is to the horse world. Like, from the outsider, you just kind of look at it like,
oh yeah,
there's just horses going around in a circle, and
Yeah.
But yeah, the intricacies of it, the ownership, and I got somebody I know that, like, maybe literally, I don't know, but he's like a savant with like all these horses, the ownership,
Yeah.
their wins, their whatever, and like kind of like baseball statistics and all that.
oh yeah,
Just
sure.
anyway, listen to him go on about it.
Yeah,
there's
the people that know how to really read the programs and know how to bet those horses. Like, I know how to read a program,
Mhm.
but I'm not always the best at, kind of still figuring out.
Yeah, I've never been to a horse
Anyway.
race. I've always thought it'd be cool to go.
Yeah.
Man,
But-
interesting.
I mean, and a lot of people, and speaking to that too, a lot of people don't realize how important the horses at the Marysville Fairground actually is too.
I always think that's like a little known. Like every now and again, they're like kicking up dust,
Yeah.
but that's about all you see.
I'm not the best person to talk about this, but obviously at the fairgrounds here, you used to be able to bet the horses back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I know I don't remember who took it away. I think it's, the board at the fairgrounds.
Mhm.
I think but I could be wrong. So I'm not too sure. I know there were talks about trying to bring it back, which, I mean, I think they should do. But in general, a lot of people don't realize, I think, how important those horses and having the horsemen are at that fairgrounds, because there's been talks of, trying to get rid of them.
Really?
And a lot of people don't realize how much money the fairgrounds will lose if they get rid of them,
Yeah.
because they
Well, I
also
mean-
lose money from the United States Trotting Association, which helps put in money for the actual races that happen during the county fair. But again, I don't want to get into too much detail with it, because I'm not really the guy that knows
Yeah.
everything about that.
How many horses are there, you think?
Oh, there's 1, 2, 3. There's either 3 or 4 barns that are full of horses, or closely
really?
full of horses. But I'm not. It's been a minute since I've been over there.
Huh, and they all race? Or is it just a mix?
They should all be standard bred
Really?
horses. Yeah. So, and then they obviously they use the track to train.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
until the fairgrounds,
Yeah.
or till the fair comes back around, and during the summertime. But it doesn't mean that the horses there will race that county fair. It depends on
But but
a
they're
lot of things.
yeah, just it's always interesting the things you come across. Like Ashley's at her Belfountain location. There's
Yeah.
a lady that comes in a couple nights a week and does baton lessons.
Oh, okay.
Well, just things not in your world. And you're like, oh, apparently that's
Sure.
still a thing. Horses is in most people's world. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. So
what are you excited for? What's coming up in the future around here, or other projects you got going on?
Well, this next trip, like where I mentioned, I guess I haven't mentioned it. Going out west. Or did I mention it?
Mhm.
I don't remember. Yeah, sure.
You're getting old,
I
can't
did.
remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, that trip should be fun. I like any trips that are west of the Mississippi.
Yeah,
They're fun to drive through. So got that, but I'm probably looking more forward towards December and January, when I'm going to be I'm hoping slow, because that's when it typically is slow for my industry. That way I can chill out and
Hang out at home.
and I'm not one to complain. Like I'm okay. Like I can take those 2 months off. I'm totally fine. But if I get work, that's work too. I don't, whatever. So
Here's a random one. Did you ever hear much about that Union County film or whatever that was filmed around here? Like I heard about it.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember the one actor. I know his face. He's a British actor, younger guy, blonde. Because I know they were doing some stuff up in Bellefontaine.
Yeah, I never really got the story of what it was. I assume maybe you have more info.
I don't. I'll be honest. I don't. I'm not really much in the film world aside of that. I'm just
so it was like a
side, but
I didn't even know if it was like a documentary or if it was an actual like film.
I think it's an actual film.
I kind of got 50-50 feeling of because it's like based in Union County, right?
Yeah, it's
or something.
Yeah, I think it's called like.
Yeah, I thought it was called Union County.
Yeah, I think it's called like Union County or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, I haven't heard anything since.
Huh.
You know. But
yeah, I don't know.
I'm all about supporting films in this county or in the city because, so I'm obviously, I'm also on the board of directors at the Avalon Theater.
Thank you. That was on my list to bring up. I forgot.
Yeah. And, so my contributions have come a little bit financially and a little bit on the marketing side that's where I try to help out a little bit. And so this year we had one of our film fests. This
I couldn't make it. Yeah, that sounded pretty cool.
The funny thing is I couldn't make it either because I was traveling, which I felt bad about. But Ryan, our executive director there, we talked about doing that, and he did that at a prior theater he came from. And obviously we have like the Columbus Film Fest, and there's Cincinnati. And we have a lot of film fests in Central Ohio, but I always thought it would be a good idea to bring something like that to Marysville. But if we can do it in a creative way and make it where we can get a lot of people from Columbus and Toledo, Cleveland, can get them to come in, turn it actually into a festival than just a fest, like a film fest, And I think maybe we'll get there at some point. We're just testing out the waters because we only had like 4 entries for the film fest that we had this summer. They all did a great job. I was one of the judges, and then 2 of my friends that were, in the films, were judges as well. And then we're doing one for, around Halloween time.
Oh, that's right. I was trying to remember the next one was.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't remember the name of it. But it's something I think we're just kind of testing the waters with. I think it will do well in the future. It's just going to be a matter of how do we package it? What can we do creatively with it to make it, maybe more fun? And, how do we get
Something
more people,
different,
to submit? Because you can use your phone to create a film. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have really nice equipment, to do it. So
now the iPhone 17 commercials are like, hey, we're filming a whole movie. And,
it's more about the storytelling more than anything else.
Well, that was one question I had for you. Like, all your years of doing it, like, that's something I'm always trying to wrap my mind around. Like, because a lot of people dismiss the storytelling aspect of film or art or pictures or video. And, I don't know. You got any general 2 cents on the importance of being able to tell a good story in today's age?
So the same goes kind of with music sometimes. With film or commercial or whatever, it's all about the story. It's not really about how it's filmed. It's not about how it's lit. It's really about, can you convey a story that's going to connect to people? Whether you're making them sad or making them hopeful, right?
Or both.
Yeah, right. So that's where it starts. And it's kind of the same with a good song sometimes. It's not always about, to me, it's not always about the lyrics, actually. I don't care about the lyrics. I've never cared about lyrics. All I care about is the melody and the structure. How are you grabbing my attention with that? Because it's always the music that we hear first when we hear a song for the first time.
Fair, yeah.
We don't always hear or can translate the words that are being said. A lot of times we're just into the groove or into the melody. Like, oh, it's got a great beat to it. I like this song. There's probably some songs I shouldn't like because of what they talk about, but I don't know.
I was going to say, especially though, like, now that I'm older, I listen to the songs I listened to and didn't understand or couldn't hear.
Yeah.
You get a new perspective on them.
But yeah, but when it comes to film, commercial stuff, it's always about what kind of story can you tell. So even when I'm trying to look at or critique someone's work, I try to put that to a side and look at, okay, what's the story first? Are you conveying your message? And then we can build around that. So
yeah, and then use all the lighting and techniques to.
Which, speaking of, like, and I'm hoping maybe we'll get to it next year for the city, is I've been talking to them for the last 2 or 3 years where I wanted to do this Welcome to Marysville video.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do this promotional type of video, right, to really encourage people to come to Marysville. And I know some people are like, we don't need any more people. You know, I'm like, hey man, we're gonna grow.
But make the best of it.
Yeah. But to put Marysville in a good light, you know, and to promote it however we want. And I just had an idea of this really cool storytelling thing, and I even have a demo of the video. What I did is we wrote something out. I had a buddy of mine write something out because he's a good writer, good storyteller. I recorded the voice on it, and then I just took some B-roll footage of the city that I had and put a rough story together to present it to, you know, Terry and Anna over there, which they really liked the idea. So it's just a matter of always trying to budget things in and whatnot. But it's something like I really wanted to do. There's a company out of Delaware, and I can't remember the name of them, that they just did the story on Richwood. I don't know if you saw that video.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah. I haven't watched the entire thing because sometimes I don't care about the content. I just want to see how it looks, right? But it looked really good. So whoever put it together did a really good job. But I've been trying to go back to the county and do the same thing. I did a promo video for them like 7-8 years ago, and I wanted to update, you know, that, you know. So I keep bugging Eric about it. I'm like, hey man, we need to
get on it.
Yeah, I'm like, you're trying
Eric.
you're trying to promote the city and you're trying to promote the county. Like, you don't understand how much I can help with that, you know. Like, a lot of people don't realize how much value we have as we're not just people that hold cameras. We're storytellers. We're marketers too, right? Some of us are.
You're done right, yeah.
Yeah, so my goal is to not do what you think you need. My job is to do what I think is going to serve best and give a lot of value to whatever we're trying to sell.
Yeah, whatever the goal is.
Show off, right? So, you know.
Yeah, I always joke, you know, if somebody wants me to help make a video or something, some nonprofit or whatever, I'm like, what do you want to say? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just a monkey with a camera unless we know what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I can make this look like this for you, or I can make it look like that for you. What direction you want to go, you know? Because I am a Marysville resident. You know, I live outside the city. But I do love living here, and I do care about like wanting to help out the city and helping out, you know, the county if I can. Like, I'll always give them, you know, my best for a little bit of a break in terms of financial stuff, because I'm like, hey, you're keeping me home to work.
Don't have
I'm
to go
okay
all
with
over.
that. As much as I travel, I'm okay with that. So
For sure.
you know, so I try to do that as much as possible, because I also have no problem telling clients no. But I educate them on why I'm telling them no. That's a big part of it. You know? Yeah, because a lot of people are like, a client might be like, hey, can you do this for me? And they might say, like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, why? You know?
Yep.
So there's always going to be a reason of why I'm going to say no with something. And it's like, the first person that has to be happy with anything I put out is this person right here. I don't care about, if you're my client, I don't care about what you think. I care about what I think. Because I guarantee you, I'm going to be more picky than my own client.
Right.
You know, so I need to make sure that I'm giving it my best and I'm showing them in the best light I possibly can. Because they might be like, oh, well, this looks totally fine. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, it could look 10 times better, you know? And they might be happy with that, but I won't be, you know? So,
like this table, every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I could have cut that better.
but, you know, it's rustic.
You can't see until you get in here.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's rustic. I like it.
Yep. Well, that's what I like about that kind. It's supposed to look rustic.
I like imperfection.
Yep.
You
Well,
know,
and it's character.
Gonna happen, you know?
Well, and I heard somebody one time say woodworkers, because that's the thing with you know, artists in general, is they always poke out, oh, I did this, or I'm not happy this or that.
Right.
And he said, you know, it's not about do we make mistakes? It's how we deal with them.
Yeah.
You know, like art, anything, it's the same.
Yeah.
You roll with it.
You know, and it's funny you mentioned that too. So one of my clients was Sherwin-Williams, the automotive division, right? And so I primarily worked with their brands. I did work with some Sherwin-Williams brands. Valspar, Matrix was probably the biggest brand that I worked with. And so I worked with a lot of the custom painters, some of them that you saw on TV, and I'm still friends with. So like Ryan from Counting Cars, the show Counting Cars.
Oh, yeah.
He's the head painter.
Yep.
So I'm friends with him. I've gone to their shop several times to film because they were using Matrix.
Okay.
Another good friend of mine is Nub, that used to be on American Chopper. He was the painter, the original painter on American Chopper.
Nice.
Super fun guy. He's in New York. I try to visit him whenever I can. I filmed him several times, but he was the one who, you know, I remember him telling me, and I was filming B-roll of the paint. It's like the bad part about trying to go to YouTube is that you just learn how to do it. You need to learn how to do it and mess up, so you know why you messed up and why, you know, it doesn't work that way. Which was the reason why when we were talking about the color of these two cameras in here, like, and we're talking about the lighting, that's why, like, even though I went and kind of did what I think was right, I wanted you to go over the light on and off so you could see what I was talking about, right? So you understood.
Well, and then you can apply it to other situations where that same principle might.
Right. Yeah. And I just think we're living in a world where people, they're not making mistakes and they're not learning from those mistakes. And it's just like.
Have you heard the Lego effect?
I don't think I have.
I was quite fascinated with it. The idea is, theoretically, when you and I grew up with Legos, I mean, what was it? A perfectly put together thing, or was it just a box of stuff?
I mean, to us, it was probably just a box of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, I'm just going to.
Well, you dump it out or whatever, you sort through it. Well, the idea with it is now, and I've experienced it with my kids, they get this Lego set. It's got the right pieces. It's got the instructions, and they put it together. And so somebody was using the analogy that, like, that's what kids are growing up in, is they're, no, you don't mess up. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Versus when we grew up, it was like throw crap together, and if it broke, you kind of learned why it didn't stay, and exactly that idea.
What are you accomplishing when you have something that's telling you how to put it together?
You're not learning those mistakes. Yeah, that's
like,
exactly.
Oh, it's done. Yay! Like, I mean, we used to have like model airplanes sometimes or whatever, you know, and we're like still trying to figure out how do we put these things together, you know. But I love that turned me who I am now, because I love figuring out how to put things together. Like, I love the breakdown of, like, how did they make this, or, you know, how was that built, right? I love seeing the intricacies of how those things are being done, because then I'm like, oh, that's how they do that. Okay, they just
I love that.
Think, and you know.
For sure. And the other part of it is, if you don't deal with the problems, you never learn how to deal with the adversity or the problems or the struggle. And I see that at times with people.
I can only imagine some of the youth, if they're putting together a Lego set that's giving them instructions on how to do it. And if they either lose the instructions or they get an extra piece or something, I can see that person probably freaking out.
Yeah, now I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it's just like,
what do I do with that?
You know, it's essentially a 3D puzzle. Like,
pretty much.
Come on.
It is pretty impressive what they've got these days in some of those things.
Sure,
but.
You know, absolutely. I mean, I do love watching the Lego reality show they have. I do love it. But again, that's part of my engineer head, where I love seeing things being built. And when you add the creativity to it, with that show, what's cool is, like, they're not given instructions. They're just told, like, hey, we want you to see you build something that's in reference to this or in that. And then they've got X amount of hours to build that from their head from scratch.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought on the creative side. I've always struggled with coming up from a blank slate is really, like, truly creating something. But, like, when my first daughter was born, was coming through town, saw that somebody was cutting down a big tree. I said, hey, can I have the tree? Went home, got a trailer, had it cut up into boards. And I thought, that'd be cool, make a crib for my kids out of that. And so I took the tree, had it cut up, and took that pile of wood, and I don't know, just threw it together and made a crib.
Sure.
And, you know, then my buddy came, and he's like, well, this has got to be exactly this way, and here's the spacing and whatever. I'm like, nah, about that much will be good, and whatever. Anyway, and so I always go back to that reference of, like, obviously, you can't build a crib without wood.
Sure.
But I've always had a hard time just starting from scratch. And I wonder if that's just a creative thing of, like, but always having something to mold or critique is so much of the process. I don't know. Thoughts on that?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a thought on that.
Yeah. I don't really have much either. Other than my experience of, like, if I'm a complete blank slate, I have a hard time starting. But if there's something to mold, like, you know, if there's some clay to mold, then I get there.
Some people need a little head start, right? I guess with me, like, being also an only child, you know, I was very imaginative, obviously, as a kid. So I'm really good with ideas. But you got to remember, too, besides doing the photography and video for a living, I'm still a musician, still a painter, and I have to still create these ideas from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes with music, you can be inspired by a band, and maybe, like, I don't write this way, but some writers are like, oh, I like that riff. Let me take that riff and let me just see if I can work something else around it, right? I don't do that. I can just listen to sounds and be like, oh, maybe I want to write a song that sounds like this, but I'm not verbatim taking that, you know. So, but I'm pretty good starting something from scratch. Sometimes maybe I need help polishing it though, right? You know, and more so with the music stuff more
Right.
than anything. You know, a lot of times I can write some really cool stuff, and sometimes I can start to put we'll call it candy on top of it. But you know, sometimes it helps having another person that can help polish it in some fashion.
All right.
I think so. One other thing I wanted to talk about with the state of the city that's been kind of fun, and the city's given me a little bit of
Carte blanche.
yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah, sure. Which we did last year, and that was when we introduced 3 businesses into the state of the city video. You know, and that was part of my idea, because when we first started doing the state of the city videos, it was always like, okay, Terry's like the bun, and kind of like if there was a try bun, you know, if it was like the sandwich, but
Big
he had
Mac.
another piece of bread in the center. And then you sometimes would have, like, you know, Eric Phillips in there. You might have our chief of police or chief of fire in there.
Yeah, one of those.
Right. Yeah. Financial, you know, city financial guy, you know, they'd all be in there talking about their parts. And, you know, we did that for a few years, and I just thought, okay, this is great, you know, but maybe it's a little too boring at some point, you know.
Especially year after year.
Yeah, but here's what happened. But before I was already thinking that, but then city came to me and they say, hey, this year we just want to do like a 3-minute version, and it's just going to be Terry. Or I think initially it wasn't going to be Terry talking. It was just going to be basically a PowerPoint presentation, kind of, where it was just going to be some B-roll with some copy over top of it. They wanted to keep it short and simple. I'm like, okay, it's not what I would do, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine. So we did that. But then I said, hey, this would still be good if I had Terry in it. So I added that. So I got him on camera, and we added that in. So then the following year, you know, I told him, I'm like, hey, I think it'd be great if we either got local residents or some businesses in on this, you know. I just think more people are going to want to watch it.
Makes it more real. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to feel like you're connecting a little bit more to the community in some sense. So they said, yeah. So they picked out the 3 businesses and, you know, filmed them, and I'm hoping that we'll do that again, you know, for the next.
I don't see why not.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of picking out, you know, the next 3 businesses they want to, you know, feature or whatnot. So that's been kind of nice. I feel like that's been great that I've been able to have my hand in that to kind of help a little bit, because I would like to do more. I would like to do more for the community. Even you and I talked about that years ago, where it's like, hey, I'd love to do a roundtable of, you know, residents and maybe some council people or something, or business owners, right? And just
and now's the
have those
time
talks.
it needs.
And now you see, it's funny because now you see more of those videos on YouTube where it's like 20 communists against 1 socialist. I don't know if the Jubilee, which I love watching those.
Yep.
And not that we're trying to create argument, but debate. You know, let's talk about stuff. Let's just talk.
Yeah, as I've thought about it, that's really. I mean, and that's part of what this is. It's half a round table, but being able to find something, you know, the dynamic of getting opposing sides, but also having a calm conversation.
Yeah,
you know, so you want you want the conflict.
Yeah.
But
well, that's when you boot them. If to me, in my mind, if someone starts to get aggressive in any way, you're gone. I don't tolerate that.
Yeah,
you know?
well, I'm just saying it's a fine line of
sure.
the balance of.
But that's the world we're living in right now. You know, we're getting more extreme on one side or the other.
Here's one we can do. I've thought, you know, I've got the portable podcast desk that I used to use.
Yeah,
just roll it uptown, you know, and say, hey, what do you think of the city?
Well, kind of like Steven Crowder's changed my mind kind of a thing. You know, we just set it up. But then we might have to start wearing bulletproof vests, and, you know, who knows?
Yeah, that's a whole nother. But I've always thought, if you just went out and asked blunt opinions, what, you know, obviously you'd get the rants and the raves and the whatever, but would you actually get some good? I think you'd actually good.
I think we should. What we should do, we could talk to Alex or Sam. We should bring Marysville people to the know live in Uptown Marysville. I think we set that up, and then, you know, because you know how many people get on there like, this city needs to fix the potholes. It doesn't matter what the conversation is.
Oh yeah,
right. And then you get the idiots that are like, we need another McDonald's. You know, it's just like, what are we, 5?
Well,
you know,
now that you can do the anonymous thing, like,
Well, that and they're all this kind of bug. I actually left a comment recently because there was a post that was made through the AI generative through. So one of the,
now.
yes. So one of the I'm assuming one of the admins created an AI Facebook page that's associated with Marysville People in the Know. I don't know exactly how it works, but what it does is it AI generates questions on there too. And I understand why you're just trying to create people to talk and what I get that. But one of them was something like, you know, I forget what it was. Something about like, are you prepared for the weather in Marysville? The winter weather that's going to happen this year. So it was something like that. And I'm like, and everybody's commenting like, what winter weather? And I just left a comment on something about like, you know, I'm trying to understand why we have AI asking these questions, especially silly questions.
Yeah,
that's a silly question. You know, but I think it would be funny if we brought that in person, you know, somewhere in the uptown area. That would be good.
I'd be game.
You know, I mean,
it'd be interesting.
I don't know if I want to be involved. I might be like on the sidelines.
Oh, come
watching
on.
it.
Come on. Now you're going to,
you know, but no.
But I think that's the point is real conversations. And
well, yeah, because too many people just, they want to hide, you know, and they want to be the keyboard warriors, as we say. And I get tired. Sometimes I do leave comments when people complain about the city stuff or whatever. I'll come to the defense of the city a lot of times because I'm like, you know, they got these meetings every so often you can show up to and voice your opinion.
Yep.
Don't do it here. This isn't the place for it because nobody cares. If you actually care about, you know, some of the problems that you have, you know where to go.
Well, part of the problem with that is the city starts planning so far out.
Yeah.
Nobody's complaining until it's too late.
Oh,
the people don't pay attention early enough to put their voice in, and that process is I don't know what to do with there, but yeah, you know, and
people like to talk when they don't know what they're talking about, which is so comical to me.
Yeah, well, I heard once that they, you know, we're 5 times more likely to fill a void of information with bad than good, and there's just something about our brains that when we don't know something, we try to figure it out. Yeah, that's where a lot of conspiracy theories come from.
But one thing I've learned to say over the last couple of years, because of how crazy this world is I have it when I maybe am talking about something or maybe I'm debating something. The one thing I will say quite often at the end of that sentence is, "But you know what? I could be wrong." Because it's true. Like, I only know so much, and it doesn't matter if I read up X amount on this or that. It doesn't mean what I'm reading is right either.
Well, and there's such the difference, you know, the knowledge versus wisdom conversation of knowledge is just knowing something, but
for sure.
Yeah. It's good for you. That's, there you go. There's our lesson for this episode is
you can all be wrong sometimes.
Amen to that.
Just need to admit it.
Yeah. Be open to, other opinions.
Right. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, anything else you want to chat about? I think that was a good conversation.
No, I mean maybe they'll fix the potholes around here again, but
potholes and McDonald's over by my house would be nice.
I do wish we'd get something a little more. Just because of me, I wish we had a little more healthier options. You know, not necessarily like Chick-fil-A's and stuff like that. I mean, not that people.
That is a common one. I'll relay it to my people. I'll see what I can do.
You know, I mean, True Food Kitchen. Have you ever been there out of Easton?
No.
Really good. Mostly organic, non-GMO. It's really good food. They have a great margarita pizza.
What's it called?
True Food Kitchen.
True Food. I'll have to check it out.
They have a sourdough pizza that's fantastic. But even like their burgers are good. And then there's, of course, you have Rebull in Dublin. But then you have its big brother, Town Hall, in the Short North, which is fantastic.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
Just realized you've got to get to work. Yeah, my bad.
He's like, well, you know.
Just realized what time it was. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Thanks for watching.
Yep.
Tune in next time if you want to come sit over here in that seat. Love to have you. Until next time, take care.